quotient here. So,
oh yeah.
Hello, America. American Awakening Squad with you this Friday, April 24th. We're so happy to be with you today. We've got a great show for you and a slightly different show. You might notice, if you're a fan of the American Awakening Signs of Life crew, that one of the normal faces is missing right now. That's our friend Jeff Bethke, who is under the weather in Hawaii. Jeff, we send out our love and best wishes for your quick recovery.
Yes.
And playing the role of Jeff Bethke today, our own Christian Palacios. Hello, Christian.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Excited to be on. This is a privilege and an honor.
Awesome. So among other things, Christian is balancing out the number of baseball hats to non-baseball hats. We got 3 baseball hats, 3 non-baseball hats. And and Marissa is going hatless today too, and that is looking good.
Thank you very much, JK. We're going big here today. Big here.
That was a little bit of like Go Vogue like there for a minute.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Wow.
Little throwback. All right. Without further ado, we're going to kick it over to Josh Jacob, our house worship leader. And Josh, what do you have for us, friend?
I got a hymn for us. Hope everyone's doing well. Happy Friday. All right, here we go. All creatures of our God and King, lift up your voice and with the sing. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Thou burning sun with golden beam, thou silver moon with softer gleam. Oh, praise him. Oh, praise him. Hallelujah. 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 Thou rushing wind, thou art so strong. Ye clouds that sail in heaven long. Oh, praise him. Hallelujah. Thou rising morning, praise rejoice. Ye lights of evening, find a voice. Oh, praise him. Oh, praise him. Hallelujah. 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 Ooh, yeah. Did all things there created bless, and worship him in humbleness. Oh, praise him. Hallelujah. Praise him, Father. Praise his Son. And praise the Spirit. 3 in 1. Oh, praise him. Oh, praise him. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Come on,
That
hallelujah.
is the most soulful version of that I've ever heard. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Who knows the backstory on that song? Anybody know where it was first written?
I've never even heard that song.
Oh, interesting.
I know, brand new was brand new for me.
So it's the actual lyrics are adapted from a Saint Francis poem from the 13th century, and it was adopted, popularized in sort of the kind of the Anglican canon, or at least through the UK route about 120 years ago. But anyway, Saint Francis brought to life by Josh Jacob. Thank you, Josh. That was fantastic. Really appreciate that. All right. So without Jeff Bethke, we're going to have to just, kill some time with this crazy video we're going to put up in a little bit. But I'll leave that to when we get to it, to intro it properly. First, we're going to go to Joel Searby, as we always do, Pastor Joel in Gainesville, Florida. And as we kick it over to Joel, let's pull Joel up on the screen here. And Joel,
Hey, everybody.
You showed us a shirt before we got on the air, and it's a special shirt, and I think it introduced some degree of novelty into some of our lives about something about your bird spirit self. So stand up and let's see that, man.
Yeah. Well, first of all, if you don't have a bird spirit, then you're missing out on everything in life. Here you go. This is my bird spirit right there. There you go. Guess who that bird is? That's the cardinal right there. And he's got glasses like me. There you go.
So are we experiencing general technical difficulties there, or is it just me on my end?
No, I'm hearing it too. I didn't get the bird spirit.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Uh-oh.
So, all right, can we hear him now?
Can you guys hear me? I'm here. I'm talking about the bird spirit.
We're good now, Joel. Now
right.
Run back the bird spirit bit, man. Nobody can miss that.
Oh, man. Yeah. So that shirt that I just showed you, there you go. That's my bird spirit. If you don't have a bird spirit, you're missing out. No, I just made that up like about 5 minutes ago. But no, if you got a cool shirt, you got to make up a story to go with it.
Okay.
So on to my segment. You said you wanted something different and wacky. No one ever accused me of being funny, but I do have a bird spirit.
No, you are funny. I just didn't know when you were delivering me lines before the show started that you were just making them up. I thought you were speaking the truth, and so they profiled you on the air. But okay, whatever.
Oh man. Well, I'm not sure which thing is more disturbing, that you thought I actually thought I had a bird spirit, or that we were going to actually talk about the bird spirit on our show. But either way,
it's complicated to unravel. I know. Well, we'll leave it alone now.
Oh man, it is a fun shirt, and it does make me think of myself, which is a little bit weird to wear a shirt that has a bird on it that looks like yourself. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. We bring every day what we call our daily dose, so something to think about that hopefully gives you a little hope, a little joy, a little life. And I'm going to set a little scene today and just kind of take this a little bit more poetically today. I'm going to read parts of it, but just let yourself go into this scene. So there's a warm, steaming loaf of bread sitting on the table. It's one of those that's crusty on the outside. It's soft on the inside. It's going to be so good. There's a ruby red glass of wine. It's resting smoothly, quietly in the clean, clear glass, and you can catch a little whiff of it. There's a table set with food which steams and gleams and seems to jump off the platter before you. The scene is ready for you to eat. But what if before you can receive it or enjoy it, something simple has to be done? And if you don't do this one thing, the whole meal will be spoiled, ruined, will taste bitter, might even make you sick. Would you do that one thing? Of course you would. This is the image that we get from Paul and from the first church about how we're supposed to eat together. We've been talking about the first followers of Jesus this week and what it means to live together. One of the things they did was they ate together. And Paul, in the book of 1 Corinthians, his letter to the church at Corinth, he gives us some ideas about how we're supposed to practice the ritual eating together, this symbolic eating together, where we remember the death of Jesus, his burial and his resurrection. But there's something else going on, I think, in what Paul is teaching us, which is what he points to when he says, some of you are eating and you go ahead with your own private suppers, and as a result, one person is still hungry and hasn't yet eaten, and others are getting drunk. His point being it's a picture of selfishness, of gluttony and extravagance while somebody else starves. As he says, it's not right. It's not how we're supposed to do this. The deeper principle he's getting at is that we are in this together. And so as we eat meals in the coming days and weeks and months, I want us to pause before the bounty, if it were, or the few crumbs that we have. And I want us to physically and emotionally and spiritually remember our brothers and sisters with whom we stand around the world, around our communities. I want us to be able to be silent and to wait and to not rush in to just eat the food before we stop and thank God and remember what he's done in his gift of grace. And then in that sweet remembrance, we can break that bread, we can drink that cup, and we can eat it with great joy. And that's my encouragement for us today. That's your daily dose. Back to you, John.
I appreciate that, Joel. That is really speaking into this moment for sure. And I am encouraged by that. And remember, everybody, the reason that we're here on the air with you every single day is because our teammate Marissa, 6+ weeks ago, when the corona started to hit hard, had a vision that we should be here on air with you all to offer light and life and faith and hope and love every single day. And I'm a big believer in Marissa's leadership and Marissa's insights. And I think she's spot on. She was spot on. I think she is spot on. And we're going to be here for as long as it takes to show up every day to say that we stand with you. We pray for you every day. We're here in faith and hope, knowing that you're made for this day, but also to transcend the adversity of this day. You're going to get beyond it. God has made you with meaning and purpose. None of us on this air know exactly what that is. That's the mystery for you to unpack with the living God, but he's got one for you. And we're here with you as we go through these really, really tough times, and so sharing that with you today. Switching gears here, we're going to go to a video that, all right, Marissa, you talk about the video. Come on. I can't talk about the video.
Okay. All right. So those of you who may have seen our show yesterday might remember that I did a little tease. I was like, JK is presenting at the Q Summit. He presented yesterday in fabulous form. And I said, if you couldn't join us watching, live on Q, we might be able to toss you guys over something. And today we are going to share the Q presentation from the Q Summit yesterday. And what this really is just so you all know, this has been a long time coming. This is a statement about not only who JK is, but who we as American Awakening are. And those of you who have come to know and love us from over the past few weeks, we've told you a bit about ourselves. Now's the time to tell you a little bit more. So with that, I think it's time to run the vid.
Showtime.
Just explain one thing. I'm going backstage, everybody, because I can't stand sitting on screen and watching a video of myself. So
fair enough. All right, y'all. Here we go.
I'm grateful to be here with all of you today, despite the craziness of Corona. My name is John Kingston. As I'm pretty sure you don't know who I am, I'll use my brief minutes with you to share a bit about myself, my vision of awakening for our church and country. I've never spoken in front of a group of more than a handful of believers, and now I'm with you in front of thousands. But these are unusual and dark times, and unusual times call for extraordinary measures. This is a world burdened by despair, division, and death, and I'm speaking of the time before Corona hit us. Even ahead of the virus, we saw our spiritual adversary at work. Light confused with darkness, truth with untruth, life with death. Not just out there, but amongst our people of faith. 150,000 deaths of despair last year. That's 3 times the number of coronavirus deaths to date. 3 times. Anxiety, depression, loneliness exploding in every demographic. And that's before Corona. Yes, a spiritual death has been on the march for a long time. I compare this to the Game of Thrones final season. Like in Thrones, White Walkers have been on the march. People here in the US, like the people south of the GOT wall, are trying to figure out how to live. Who knows how to stay alive and live real lives? We do as people of faith. We know how to seize the life that is truly life, that great phrase in the New Testament. An extraordinary opportunity exists right now for those who know light and life to speak into this darkness and stand against death. And so a guy in his 50s who's never written a book or given a talk like this is on a campaign to restore the soul of America, this country and people I love. Since my youngest days, I've been wrestling with who we were supposed to be as children of God together. When I was 9 years old in my super fundamentalist church, I found myself in a theological argument with an elder who was saying that God was against mixed race marriage. Even at 9, I was perplexed. No way the God I knew was about that. I left home at 17 in search of some answers about God and his children. I hitchhiked alone across the country for the better part of a year and found America filled with beautiful, broken people just like me, people of every color, young, old, rich, poor, with ideals spanning from the most liberal to the most conservative. And then went back to college and pledged a Black fraternity, the fraternity of Martin Luther King and other greats. That's me pledging on the screen. I'm the light-skinned guy on the left, in case you didn't guess, and married into a Chinese-American family. I've been on a journey since those early church beginnings, winding through worship and fellowship experiences across the spectrum of pretty nearly all denominations. Not church hopping, just finding people of unbelievable faith, because there's so much richness across these spaces. The stories of how a small, white, working-class town, super fundamentalist church guy took these paths are for another time. But they also can be found in my book, American Awakening, 8 Principles to Restore the Soul of America. But at its core, it's anchored in a vision God put in my heart from my earliest days. That what bonds us all together is far greater than that which separates us. Something happened to me in 2016. I watched how many of our religious leaders conducted themselves, and many senators and governors I knew, including people of faith, were not speaking the truth. Compromising cornerstone principles of who we're supposed to be together as children of God and Americans for power. Paralleling my 9-year-old reaction to mixed race theology, I thought there's no way the God of the universe can be about this. I literally couldn't sleep. I was kind of a broken person. I had to do something. I left my party to start a third-party initiative, which I called Better for America. Troubled by the state of our country, in 2017, 2018, I ran for United States Senate in Massachusetts under a banner of Uniting America. The thing I was proudest of, my management team was Black, white, Asian, and Latino. But even better, it was Democrat, Independent, Green Party, and even Republican, which I ran as. What I found out there in the campaign trail was something beyond the reach of politics. At thousands of events and meetings, I looked into people's eyes and I saw and felt their anger, which is what our leaders often drive us to. But underneath that anger is their fear and their pain and their sadness. They don't know they're children of a living God. They don't know they were built for purpose and meaning. I knew that although I lost, the real campaign wasn't over yet. The spiritual core of my team stayed together. Nearly 18 months ago, before anyone ever heard of coronavirus, we saw the death and despair and division already out there and knew we needed an American awakening. Is that crazy? Probably a little. Just like this American Awakening chapel I'm standing in now, nearly finished as an altar to God's love for us. Good crazy or bad crazy? Only God knows and time will tell. We vow to employ any possible tool to tell people they were made for purpose and meaning, that God loves them and there's more for them. And along with our books and podcasts and concerts and gatherings, my teammates helped me see that the greatest instrument of all is God's people together, the church. So here I am, my first time out in the church world, my 55th year of life. We have the greatest opportunity as Christians to change the world in my lifetime. People's spirits are crushed by the lies of the day. They don't know where to turn. They're lost, depressed, anxious, lonely, killing themselves at astounding rates. People need us. God's story is light and life and transformation, but they need us to be different than everything and everyone else. They need a living witness of redemption, of sacrifice, not of people of faith. They just want to get their own and get power.
There is a path and there is a way. We can only get there if we allow our souls to be rebuilt one by one, and if we commit to do this together. Because when the White Walkers come, what do if you want to stay alive and keep others alive? You put aside your differences and you fight for life. But some real talk here. In the church, we're weighted with political entanglements, tribalism, trifling disagreements, because we don't offer something truly different from the world, too often these days, just irrelevance. Wouldn't it be amazing if we could flip that script and live a sacrificial Christianity, not a triumphalist and tribal one in search of power? Because that's what the world needs. But in order for that to happen, we have to let God change us first. What if inside the church, we're supposed to look different, sound different, and think differently from one another? Paul gave us that mind-blowing, world-changing line in Galatians. We're not Jew or Greek, male or female, slave or free, but one in Christ. He was talking about opposite ends of every spectrum brought together. Let's bring those amazing words to today's world. We're talking about red MAGA hat wearing folks with card carrying Black Lives Matter members, taking up each other's concerns fully. Are we ready for that? In this cool Christian world, we're probably a little more ready to roll than my old fundamentalist church. But understand, they were good folks. They just didn't think the children of God should be together. Are we ready for more than that? Really? When I thought about how to present this, I wasn't sure what rules or forms I could push on for my talk to fit the space. I wasn't sure if it would be okay for me to be up here with my team and have them present with me, or whether I should wear a suit like I always have. I was really conflicted about the team part because any story I tell is about them as much as me. I'm candidly not that much alone. A mid-50s guy can only offer so much without my sister Marissa, the leader of our team, and my brother Calvin, an amazing young visionary. Maybe I'm just a front man for this great squad. You see, this is our call together, and it will be our final destiny together all around the throne. As this becomes true here, we realize there is no them. There is only us. I say that again. There's no them. There's only us. And when that's true, we have the opportunity to stop the White Walkers together. So brothers and sisters, right here, right now, why not us? Why not today? If you're seeing what we're seeing, the possibility, can you join us in reading this radical statement of God from Isaiah and Jesus that we're called to live into? Right there at home as it scrolls on the screen before you, I'm going to ask my teammates to join me on this.
The Spirit of the Lord is on us,
Because he has anointed us
to proclaim good news to the poor.
He has sent us to proclaim freedom for the prisoners,
Recovery of sight for the blind.
to set the oppressed free, and proclaim the year of the Lord's favor.
If we live into this together, this is what is possible. There's nothing that can stop us. I believe in us. I believe in the possibilities of this land and that our greatest destiny still lies in front of us. And I believe that we can be part of a great American awakening.
There we go.
Get it.
Well, you guys know the part that I like the most, right? The part with you guys in it. That was the best part. Familiar to folks at home what this looks like, that little box, but we were able to share that with folks in the live stream from Q. I guess there are 6,000 people online at the time. And so we got to show these friendly, wonderful faces of this great team around the country. So I was very grateful for that. I guess around the world too. Why not? If it's a live stream, I guess you can do that any place, right? So.
Absolutely. JK, talk to us about the speech, about what inspired it, about the words, the journey. Tell us more.
Oh, no.
Talk to us, man. Talk
Oh,
to
gosh. Well, I will say this for everybody who's out there. This is a labor of love. It's something which is indeed set deeply in my heart, and it's something which has been fully unpacking itself over the last 4+ years. I didn't recognize it before exactly, but since that time, it's as if I can do no other than to keep on saying versions of that. to whomever will listen. So I keep trying and keep trying to say the same thing, which is that God's got a plan for us. He's got a way for us to be as children of God. That is the storyline of all the major faiths, first and foremost. And then it's also set in the actual bones and DNA of our great republic. 1776, 244 years ago, those great words that all are created equal, which is the most mind-blowing, shocking, radical departure from any governance structure in history, which is everybody else was premised on power or class or who had land or which tribe was in charge. And of course, in reality, that promise 244 years ago, that check was written and not necessarily funds to support it and pay for it. So it's been unfolding for hundreds of years in America. But the promise, the principle is so critical to what this great country is about and who we're supposed to be together. And so for me, it's like, it's as obvious as anything. Like, well, why can't we live into that? 244 years later, why do we seem polarized, divided, splitting at the seams over inconsequential things, both in the church on one side and the country on another? So that's where it comes from, and absolutely invaluable. My partnerships with Joel, it's been running for several years now, and Jeff, who I love so much. Several years ago, Jeff and I came into contact with each other, and Marissa and Calvin and I have been working together for a couple years now, and so grateful because as I said in my comments, I'm really not much without you guys, and it's not just saying that. It's just there's something really true to the fact that this squad is only a meaningful squad. We only have something to offer to the world if we're together, and so. I'll say one more thing, and then I'll turn it over to you, Marissa, which is that Calvin and Marissa helped draft it with me, and I'm so grateful for that. And Jeff spoke into it as well. But until the very final stage of drafting and preparing, I was adamant that Marissa and Calvin be part of it, and so we had them scripted in to be speaking alongside me. But at the final turn of it all, we decided that somehow or other the 9-minute format wouldn't allow for all of us to get airtime, and so we went with me, much to my sadness and chagrin. But anyway.
Well, again, it's true that those of us who've been on this team, we've been riding together for a while. But I think one of the things that we came to was that you've had a vision in your heart. Again, as you say in the presentation, from when you were 9, you were a 9-year-old little boy who had a vision for how we're all supposed to be together. And the vision that has taken you and transported you and sustained you through all these years and brought you from sort of one season to another, that's like, this very different kind of life. And you've invited some very interesting, different kinds of people to share life with you. And so a guy with that vision, we could have broken it up. It could have been fun and different and, all sorts of things, but you have a vision, and you declaring your vision will always hold power, hold weight. All of you out there, same thing. You've got a vision in your heart. You declare it. You don't need anybody else. God's given you a vision, and it's strong enough to deliver on your own, as we saw with JK. Thank you for that, John. I'd love to hear from other folks on the team. Again, your brief experiences, your takeaways. Joel, again, before Calvin and I sort of came on the scene, 18, 19 months ago, you were working with JK all the way back when stuff hit the fan and life changed. What have been, your memories, your experiences, and how's that led into your understanding of this video?
Yeah, well, I think I'll speak to John first, which is, when I met John, it was in a moment of I think, crisis and existential questioning for both of us about, as he mentions in the video, this time in 2016, some of us were saying, what is happening out there, politically speaking, among people that we thought we knew? And to watch John not only really wrestle through that in deep ways, but to do it as a brother, because we ended up really being brother in arms, and because we were both feeling this so deeply and waking up every day just feeling like, what are we going to do? How is this happening? What can we do? And then just watching John really be willing to pour his heart and resources into making things different. And so then I think one of my favorite things about this is the journey from, and this has been a lot of my journey too, hey, let's make a political fix for the problems that we see. Because that's where we came from. He and I both came out of the world of politics. And then it was like, for John, his next step was, well, maybe it's a leadership. It's not just the politics as a whole, it's a leadership play. And so he ran. And of course, that was super admirable and sacrificial. Anyone who runs for office is slightly crazy and super courageous because you're putting yourself out there. But then as he went around, he had the wisdom and the sensitivity to realize, oh, there's something even deeper here, which is this soul issue. And I think that's been my journey too. I mean, I've not really been known as Pastor Joel in my life. That's more of a recent thing other than a few instances. So I too am realizing like, hey, there's something that's got to happen in our souls if we have any hope to change some of the outlets that we're seeing in our country. And John has just led the charge on that.
That's really powerful. I love that. I gotta say, I've really been, I've really felt blessed to be a part of a squad like this. And I don't say that in a very flippant sort of way, like hashtag blessed. I'm not, I don't mean it flippantly. There's the breadth and length and width of the diversity on this team is pretty crazy. As John mentioned, again, I say to people sometimes when it comes up, I'm as Green Party as I am Black. And I'm the only person on the core of this team that is standing in that space. But because the vision for this, that it takes everybody to come together to do life differently, no matter where you sit, no matter where you stand, especially folks of faith. It kind of doesn't matter the other stuff. If we can find some common ground, which we have, then what reason do we have why we can't stand together on some of the most core things about us? So this wide tent that we've been sort of building, this gathering fellow believers, gathering folks, as you said, in arms, Joel, joining arm in arm with folks who may look different from us, sound different from us, but we all want the same thing. This has been a really enjoyable journey. Lord knows we'll see where it goes, but all I know is God's doing a thing by bringing together a lot of different people. And for those of you out there, real talk, our team, there are folks on our team that aren't Christians. Like this vision is bigger than what you think, just the same way God's bigger than the boxes we put him in.
That's good.
Yeah. So it's exciting. Calvin, talk a bit about your experience with the wide tent and the radical us.
Oh man. Yeah, I guess how can I not start by saying that this has been a different kind of thing. This has been probably the greatest gift. The radical us has been the play the entire time. I think John said it. I don't think any of us are really that much alone. We're gifted differently. We approach the world differently. We have different things to offer. But something that I have learned was that each piece was essential. And I think early on we did recognize as a group that part of the power in what we're doing was that that the world simply just needed to see something. I think it was almost, this has been on my mind a lot lately, but it was almost like Thomas and the holes in Jesus's hands. That like we as a church have done a great job of casting this vision, of saying these things of how we should be, who we should be, but when they look at us, are they seeing anything actually different? What is our witness? And I think it seemed like a moment where this group that God assembled, this initial group of three with Marissa, myself, and John around his kitchen table, around this vision of not only the church but our country and perhaps the world, of how we could really be together. I think, yeah, it seemed like, okay, Lord, what were you trying to model here? That we have multiple generations. You know, I'm 28. Marissa is young, and John is just a little bit older.
Hey,
you know, and so, but it's only slightly. And so again, we have multiple generations, people in different places in our life. Of course, obviously, we look different. I'm Korean American, Marissa's Black, and John's white, and so like, what this group, and we look different, we think differently, yet we're all able to come together and like John and Marissa said, where is this common ground, the thing that ultimately unites us, this common denominator, and that despite our differences, actually in the beauty of our differences, it actually provides the witness that we can all chase something together. So I think that has been something I learned here, and I will probably carry with me for the rest of my life.
Oh,
so good. Yeah, there's something in that, Marissa. I think one of the things we've talked a lot about as a team is that there's power in the trying, you know, and like Calvin, man, I love your word there about we've been saying a lot of the right things for quite a while as a church, and I believe that. But we got to put it into practice, and we don't know every single play, and we've made mistakes. I know I have, and being a part of this team, and like, you're not going to get everything right, but we just keep trying, you know, and there's such power in not giving up on, hey, we're supposed to be together. And Marissa, and you have led the charge. And there's been a couple times people have wanted to peace out, and you're like, nope, we're not having it. And we're sticking together. That's powerful, right? It's great. Yeah.
Hey man, this might be the short bus, but we're all on the same bus. I'll tell you.
Oh, Christian or JBJ, we don't want to cut you out if you have anything to say. By the same token, we don't want to put any pressure on you to speak if you don't want to. So just is anything you want to speak in, great. If not, great too.
Sure, I'll say a few words. Excited to be a first time speaking here. Exciting.
Yeah.
And just can I say one thing, Christian? Just to everybody know. So Christian, I didn't say this before. We mentioned his name before in other shows. He's always backstage with us, putting the show together on StreamYard, and we're very grateful for all your support in that regard. Christian, nice to have you with us here.
Absolutely. And yeah, this video comes out. I've been with this team for a year this week, actually. And just to think back, I remember when you guys were first telling me about this American Awakening. We were up in Vermont, and it certainly sounded radical to me. And I was always thinking, what does this look like? And here we are a year later, and we've done so many things. Calvin, Marissa, and John, they work so hard. We all do as a team, and the big word is together. Like, it's just for unity. It's just for a better world. And I love seeing the effort you guys put in, the passion. And we've done a lot. And there's so much more to do. There's so much more things we're going to do. And I'm super excited for it. John's video is great. And I feel like it's another relaunch of what we're going to get into this year.
Good
Come
work,
on, Christian.
Cool.
Let's go.
Yeah. My whole goal was music. That was it, you know. And I met John when I was working at Starbucks a while back when I was a struggling musician, still kind of struggling. But he was a cool dude. He was just very unassuming. And later on, I became a worship leader, and I saw him then, you know. And so anyhow, he invited me to Vermont for something. I didn't even know what it was. And so I was skeptical at first, but when I finally figured out his vision, I was like, all right, this is cool. This is cool. I get to play music, and then I get to listen to a lot of amazing people talk about how to bring everybody together, you know. And so it's been cool. I'm praying to God for just miracles out of this, that our country will be healed, racial reconciliation, justice, all those things that I'm very passionate about. And, you know, this is a good step. This is a good step trying to bring people together. We got to do this together. We can't do this separate.
That's right.
Wow. Oh, y'all are going to make me cry.
I know.
It's
going to be so emotional.
Right? Who knew?
Josh and Christian, thank you for your words there, man. Thank you. I hate to close this, but we're getting long in the hour here. Marissa, I think you're going to bring us home with a Classic Denzel moment, right?
You know what? On a Friday, there's no better way to close out the week. That's right, Calvin, my man. No better way than with Denzel. Why don't we just toss it to the clip?
If we don't come together right now on this hollow ground, we too will be destroyed. Just like they were. I don't care if you like each other or not, but you will respect each other. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll learn to play this game like men.
Oh,
Come on,
Denzel.
Standing on, the soil where the Battle of Gettysburg was being fought, bringing that team together. Those boys played much better together than they ever did apart. And let that be a lesson for all of us. We're better together.
This woman can translate a sports movie.
I'm telling you, some people. I'm a woman with a very particular set of skills. That
might be your spiritual gift, Marissa, is translating sports movies.
Yes, Jesus.
Your spirit bird.
Okay, don't go too far now.
All right, Josh, play us out here, and what do you have? I think we're still on mute.
There you go. All right, I was just thinking about everything that was being talked about, and so what I'm going to sing is not exactly a worship song, but it's something that I'm kind of feeling right now, just for unity and just what it looks like when we're all going to be radically together. So this is Window in the Skies. I hope you like it. By U2. The shackles are undone, the bullets quit the gun, the heat that's in the sun will keep us when there's none. The rule has been disproved, the stone it has been moved, the grave is now a groove, our debts are removed. Oh, can't you see what love has done? Oh, can't you see what love has done? Oh, can't you see what love has done? What it's doing to me. Love makes strange enemies, makes love where love may please. Soul in its striptease, hate right to its knees. The sky over our head, you can reach it from our bed. If you let me in your heart and out of my head. Oh, can't you see what love has done? Oh, can't you see what love has done? Oh, can't you see what love has done? What it's doing to me. I got no shame. Oh no, oh no, I got no shame. Oh no, oh no, oh can't you see what love has done? Oh, can't you see? Oh, can't you see what love has done? What it's doing to me? I heard you when I made you cry. Did everything but murder you and I. you see what love is done, what it's doing to me. Yeah.
Wow,
That's
Josh.
good. That's good.
Come on, Josh.
That's good. Is
Josh,
it better than Denzel? I don't know. They're both so good. It's hard to compare, right?
Whew.
That's fantastic, man. Thanks so much. I want to say a big thank you to all of you for being with us again today. Thank you for Christian for making a special appearance. Great to have you with us. We wish you a blessed weekend. God's got you. God's right with you. You're meant for this moment. You're going to get through it. It's going to be hard for all of us, but you're going to get through this. And on Monday, we're going to a special show with our One America friends and some special guests on hashtag Love Your Neighbor, as well as an old friend of mine, a musical guest, Chris Carter, going to do a special Oklahoma rendition of Amazing Grace. He's going to bring it live to us. It's going to be sweet. So until Monday, God bless you all. Keep fighting the good fight. Look forward to seeing you next. Bye now.